Boxing truth here. Bob Arum doesn't want to risk Manny Pacquiao outside of his promotional umbrella. He wants to take an in-house fight with Manny Pacquiao, with a guy that he feels and the matchmakers feel that he could handle, so they can focus on the plan to serve him up, feed him to either Lomachenko or the Crawford Horn winner, which is most likely Lomachenko. That's the plan. That's been the target for quite some time, and that's a dream fight that Bob Arum has been wanting to make for over the past year. He wants to match Lomachenko with Manny Pacquiao. It would have been nice to do that fight as early as April of this year, but Lomachenko's father is not confident of that move. Wants to take an interim fight at lightweight to test the waters before he makes that jump to fight Manny Pacquiao at a catch weight or at 140 pounds later this year. Bob Arum doesn't want to take the risk now that Manny Pacquiao is 39 years old, pushing 40 years old later this year. He wants to keep it safe, wants to keep it in-house when an opponent they are very confident Manny Pacquiao could beat in Mike Alvarado. Now, Alvarado is a very disappointing opponent for Manny Pacquiao. I don't give a shit that he's coming off an official L, which many people feel that he beat Jeff Horn. Manny Pacquiao still has a fight or two to give to the sport of boxing. He can still compete with the best out there, even the young killers in the welterweight division. Now, of course, he's at a stage where Bob Arum's not going to risk him to Thurman or Spence or who else on the PBC side. He's not going to risk him to those guys, but he's willing to do a big fight on his side of things, and that big fight is the Lomachenko fight, which is the target for later this year. But Arum and the matchmakers at Top Rank, they don't need to be that selective with the opponent. They can afford to take a fight outside of the Top Rank universe. They can go do a co-promotion on Golden Boy and perhaps set up a fight with Lucas Matthysse. Now, it will be a real fight because it will be a co-promotion, and both of the guys will be coming to win. Of course, Matthysse has wanted the fight for a long time. He's been calling out Manny Pacquiao for ages. Has never been able to get that fight. But now Manny Pacquiao is actually speaking his name, because originally he wanted Lomachenko, but Lomachenko's team feel they're not ready yet to take that task. So now Pacquiao has his sights set on Lucas Matthysse, which is in a much more attractive fight compared to Alvarado. It's a better fight. It's coming off the win over Arum. He has a little hardware, a bullshit WBA belt, but it is what it is. So he's an older guy, mid-30s, seen better days, was losing rounds to an untested, unproven Arum prior to the fishy knockout. But the point is, he's a much more recognized name. He's a much more interesting opponent, and at least he's coming off a win and of some significance with a little hardware to the table. Alvarado's been in a rebuilding stage, washed, knocking out nobodies on the Top Rank undercards on Unamas. It's an insult if Pacquiao fights Alvarado and ends up being on an undercard. Come on, Bob. That's an insult to a legend who has done a lot for the sport, has made Top Rank millions of dollars over the years, and this is how you're going to pay him back. You set up the robbery in Australia, and now you're going to pitch him an undercard bout against Mike Alvarado. Other options were included, but they weren't attractive options. All guys affiliated with Top Rank. I heard some names being thrown out there, but none of them even worth mentioning. The only interesting opponent for this time period for Pacquiao to return this spring is the Lucas Matthysse fight. Now, Bob, he wants to play safe. He wants to make sure Manny gets that guaranteed win, so he can serve him up to a big name, Lomachenko, later this year. But Manny Pacquiao can handle Lucas Matthysse, Bob. Don't worry about it. He was getting outboxed by Arum, lost a few rounds in that fight. He's seen better days. The La Máquina is washed. Nowhere near at his peak. He's not a very confident fighter. He's up there in age, not as a bigger puncher as he used to be, fighting at a higher weight. And he can be outboxed. He's been outboxed on a few occasions in his career. Danny Garcia, Victor Postal has quit in the ring, so yes, you still have to question the desire Matthysse has when it comes to actually butting down his mouthpiece and gutting out a fight. It's a very winnable fight for Manny. A guy that's a little closer to his age, doesn't have the foot speed to catch up to Manny, but he still has a good right hand that could, if he lands, could spell some trouble. But Pacquiao is on another level. Much better boxer, much more fluid, much faster. Might even be a bigger puncher at this stage of both guys' careers. So I'm still holding out hope that Pacquiao fights Lucas Matthysse, but I'll believe it when I see it. Doesn't appear to be any movement. Bob Arum has already been on record that the fight's not going to happen because of some scheduling issues, that Matthysse suffered a cut against Arum, might not be ready for April. But Manny has already stated to the press that if the fight can't happen in April, it could easily happen. He could also fight in a date in May. So that's the fight that Manny Pacquiao should take. What is Bob Arum gonna let it happen? I don't know. Probably not. Wants to keep things safe on his side of things. But this is the dilemma that Pacquiao has to go through now that he's at the twilight and Arum is trying to cash him out with one of his star fighters, Lomachenko. Now Manny has to be fed these type of opponents. It's happening again. Once again, Arum and Pacquiao are not on the same page. Pacquiao doesn't want to fight Alvarado, would rather fight Matthysse. Arum wants him to fight Alvarado. Doesn't want to take that risk and take a fight not that is not in-house. So it will be a career bummer for Pacquiao, a letdown in his career, an embarrassment if he ends up fighting a washed Alvarado as an undercard to Crawford Horn. A very far cry from the glory days where he was headlining pay-per-view events and being in big, huge time events, compared to this possible scenario of being an undercard to a Crawford Horn fight. Very insulting. Hopefully Pacquiao says, fuck you, Bob Arum. I'm not fighting Mike Alvarado. And he just scraps the date. Doesn't end up fighting on that card. Besides, Crawford Horn is not pay-per-view. Shouldn't matter. Doesn't matter if Pacquiao was going to be involved. The Pacquiao Alvarado is a bullshit fight. I mean, let's be real about it. Nobody wants to see that shit. We'd much rather see Lucas Matthysse. But, hopefully Pacquiao just has other ideas and has some tricks up his sleeve to make Bob Arum see the light and not take this fight and try to sell this to the public as a pay-per-view. Crawford Horn belongs on regular ESPN. Was hoping it would be at MSG. Kind of a big letdown, buzzkill that may take place in Las Vegas now. And for Pacquiao, damn, that would be an embarrassment, dog. If you end up fighting on the undercard and end up fighting Mike Alvarado. Come on, man. Tell Bob what's up. Tell him you want Matthysse or you're not fighting. Or you'll wait till November to fight Lomachenko. But you don't deserve this, dog. You don't deserve to be on the undercard. Especially after you arguably beat Jeff Horn. He still should be the true WBO king in the welterweight division. Let's see how this plays out, but most likely Bob Arum will get what he wants. A Pacquiao Alvarado Crawford Horn doubleheader live on pay-per-view. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.